Hi, common viewers. Welcome to Strictly for You. There's a saying by Aristotle. Actually, it's attributed to Aristotle. It says, "Nature abhors a vacuum." That is something that is, I think, it's also a universal law that nature abhors a vacuum. That no vacuum is allowed to exist. You know, I was just thinking about it the other day, and I was actually asked myself, don't we call it the vacuum of space, like outer space? Don't we call it that? But then scientifically, outer space is not a vacuum. Why? Because outer space is filled to the brim with electromagnetic fields, electromagnetic radiation, electrons, neutrons, cosmic rays. It's okay, and other obviously stars, planets, moons, and all those elements of the universe. So it's not empty. Although we call it the vacuum of space for the sake of communication, it's not empty. So, no vacuum is allowed to exist. You also observe the very same phenomena happening in human social arrangements in countries, for example, countries that are developed, that are like very developed, right? You'll observe that the people of that nation gravitate away from specific jobs because they see them. I think maybe they see them as jobs of low degree. Um, Even in developing countries like South Africa, probably, if you observe people that grow closer to the metropolis, right, to metropolitan areas, um, they, after growing up, they gravitate away from certain vocations. They gravitate away from certain jobs. And what always happens in all those areas is that somebody has to come and fill in that void, that vacuum that is left by um, human beings gravitating away from those specific jobs. What usually happens is it's either somebody from the villages will come, occupy that. And if that is not happening, it will be people from outside that country. Because if there's a void, there must be a form to fill it. If there is a void, there must be a form to fill it. Um, so now that says something about us as humanity, right? It says something about us as humanity. It tells you that there is nobody who was actually born by mistake. There is nobody who is here and it's accidental. Why? Because no vacuum is allowed to exist. So if there's a vacuum, there must be a form to come and fill it, right? Um, Actually, when you read in the very first in the Bible, when you read the very first chapter of the Bible, it tells you that the earth was void. There was a vacuum on earth, and the earth was without form. So there was a vacuum that needed a form to fill it. And that vacuum actually necessitated the incoming of a form. It necessitated creation, and it necessitated the incoming of a form. Why? Because nature abhors a vacuum. No vacuum is allowed to exist. What is a vacuum? A vacuum is actually a space that is not occupied by any matter. It doesn't. It does. It's not of like. It doesn't matter whether the phase of the matter is solid, liquid, gas. It doesn't matter at all. If it's a vacuum, it must not be occupied by any matter in any form or in any phase. So no vacuum is allowed to exist. No vacuum is allowed to exist if there is a vacuum that exists that will necessitate the incoming, or the forthcoming, no, the incoming of a form to fill it. That means then nobody's here by mistake. You had to be here.